All right, hey guys, welcome back to Into the Woods. We're so excited that you guys are here. Hopefully, you had a great week and are preparing for a great weekend. This is Dwayne,
This is Denise.
Danita.
and once again, this is Into the Woods. Glad that you're here so you can help to have a conversation with us as we talk about us. Our names are Woods, and sometimes we find ourselves in the woods. So by understanding us, maybe you find some similarities in what we're doing, and we can all come out of the woods together. Awesome, awesome. So guys, how you all doing? How you doing this week?
Good.
Okay, a little rough, but all right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how those weeks go, don't they?
Yeah, that's how
Mhm.
they do it.
A little rough here and there, rough here and there. You know, a lot of times I'll talk to somebody and I say, how you doing? They say, well, I'm here. And I guess they seem to indicate that they're just hanging on.
Right,
hanging
right,
on.
right.
Just hanging out right now. So okay, well, cool. Well, so I guess we're in full swing of school for you, Denise.
Yeah, we're full swing, but
Full swing.
all of my technology does not work.
Ah,
And
yeah.
so therefore it's been a struggle all week.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That
hmm
seemed to be going around. I think here at the university, Oakwood, they had trouble as well with their system, and we came in sometime. Was it recently? And all of our computers were down, so I couldn't access anything at all on the system. So yeah, when computers work, they work. When technology doesn't work, it doesn't work
Does not work.
Yes, it's right.
at all.
No, not at
All
all.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Danita, how about you?
Easy week. Nothing
Easy week.
special. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Today was the best day because my manager on Fridays she doesn't come in, so it's party day.
But
So we do nothing but reports and
right.
pretend. Well, we pretend we're doing reports.
Ah, okay. All right. And if you're watching manager, they still get some work done, okay? Let's see. My week was pretty good. Always, have lots of irons in the fire. So my big thing I was telling Charmaine today that the biggest thing that I can do for myself is really to get sleep at night. If I get sleep at night, then everything else I can handle. But if I'm tired, then I'm more irritable, not as creative. I don't think.
Yeah.
So I keep telling myself, gotta get in bed. So that's what I'm working on.
Okay. So,
Okay.
but what is enough sleep then for you to be able to function properly?
Well, so the current recommendation is at least 7 hours, right?
Now.
And some people need more. And sleep, people say, "Oh, I'll catch up on my sleep." Well, you can't really catch up on sleep. It is.
What it is.
What
It's
is
like money. When it's gone, it's gone. And you can get more, but you can't go back and get the ones that you had before. So I have been burning the candle on both ends with all the things I've been doing, and so I've got to when my alarm goes off, and I do have an alarm on my phone. I have actually four alarms that are preparing me to go to bed, and a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, sometimes I ignore it because you say, "Oh, I'll do that one last thing,"
Mm-hmm.
and then that one last thing turns into like 2 hours.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So sleep.
Yes.
So that may be actually an interesting point to jump on. Self care, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we talk about. Sleep being one of those things that we have in self care that a lot of times will not do. We'll kind of let things kind of go and things happen. So self care, right? That's an open topic. We can go anywhere with that one. But before we go there, anything exciting going on in your lives right now that you care to like talk about on air?
Not really. More of the same.
More of the same? Like
Yeah.
what?
Like get up and go to work, come back home, go to
Uh-huh.
sleep.
Go to sleep.
Try to get to sleep on time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's about
Wait
it.
for Friday for the great podcast. Yeah.
Right.
This is the
Well,
one.
Danita, you got a couple of new books that are out. Some of your journals. So that was that this week.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so
I
that's
did.
exciting, right?
See, that goes back to, I don't know if we had this discussion. When you do things, sometimes it's just regular to you,
Mm,
but it's like great or interesting to other people.
right.
So when you ask me, to me, it's just regular. It's part of my regular
Mm,
everyday thing. It doesn't seem like a big deal.
a big deal, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm writing that down. You know, I'm always writing stuff out. So
I
big
know.
deal. Okay. All right. So maybe that'll come in our conversation. How about you, Denise? You said just regular stuff for you as well.
Yeah, just regular stuff.
Okay.
Work.
Any wins this week that you could think of?
Any wins as far as?
Any wins for you? Anything that you're like, okay, yeah, that was good. I did that, or I accomplished that,
Um,
or
just digging a little deeper.
okay,
Just self
okay,
care. Just
self
digging a little deeper.
deeper. Okay,
That's
good.
about it.
Yeah, yeah. A win for me is I told you guys that I joined this group
Hmm.
and we had our first coaching call um, in the group this week, and so everybody met each other and we kind of talked with each other in the group. And on one of the shows, actually, they reviewed one of my videos. So that was fun to kind of hear other people telling me about things that I should do for my studio. Like they recommended moving this picture right here, and
Okay.
maybe mounting this my base over
Okay.
here to kind of fill up the space. So I mean, so it was good, good to get a perspective from other people. So okay, well, cool. Well, I think why don't we do two things? Why don't we do things? Let's talk a little bit about self-care, and then I want to come back to that point that Danita raised about the big deal. The big deal. Okay. All right. So self-care. So when you think self-care, when you guys think of self-care, what comes to mind?
The spa.
I knew I knew one of you were going to say that.
The spa.
Okay, the spa,
I mean,
right?
massages, pedicure, manicure, get
Hmm.
your hair done,
Right.
that kind of stuff. All that. Um, I guess it's the exterior things that make you feel good. But
Okay.
there are types of self care, right?
Right.
So I don't know what
Okay.
they are right now.
So if you had to give a word, if you had to give a word to that one word, right? What would you call that? What you just described? The spa, you said the external things that make you feel good. What would you call that?
What would I call that?
I'm thinking of a word.
I'm not getting any
You're not
word.
you're not
I'm
getting any
still
words?
thinking self care because it's part of it.
Self-care.
It's one
Okay.
aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So Denise, can you think of a word? And maybe I hope I'm using I'm thinking the right thing. I'm thinking pampering yourself.
There you go. That's it. Like,
I
You know?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So right.
That's
So
exactly
all of
what it is.
those physical things that you do, the spa, the jacuzzi, the hot bath, the maybe sleeping in, all the physical things that you do, a massage, right? So okay, so good. I like that. And so Denise, when you think of self-care, what picture comes to your mind?
I mean, the self care, well, not necessarily spa, but all the
Hmm.
external things. That's my everyday. So
Oh,
it's like, I do that all the time. But
right.
for me, self care, as I said, digging deeper, understand
Okay.
that's my self care.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Now, as you were talking, Denise, I was picturing actually our recent trip. Um, I think for me, that's included in the self care. So just getting away from And sometimes I'll say that we just need to go check into a hotel. Just we don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to leave town. We don't have to drive anywhere. Just go downtown or go wherever the hotel is and check in and maybe stay there overnight. We've done that. We've done that before. We just checked in. And just to kind of get away from life, right? Get away from, at least, not get away from life. Let me change that. To have a different location, different physical space where all of the things that happen in your regular day are not right present of mind. You can get away for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's very helpful to do that.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
I
The next time
do
you do, I'm
because
coming.
I come back and I can think better. I can just function better because before you leave, you have all this stuff going on. You go to
Right.
someplace else, and it's almost like you leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come back, you can kind of get back into life a little fresher, refreshed.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. So okay. So those are the physical things. So let's jump over to what Denise has been talking about. This deeper thing. What does that mean, Denise? Deeper, going deeper. What kinds of things are involved in that?
I mean, we've talked about it in our previous podcast shows. Just sitting still and just thinking and observing,
Mm-hmm.
listening. That's
Okay.
pretty much what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Just to sit still and see where I'm going, how I'm going to get there, what do I want, different things like that.
Right. Okay. All right. One of the things that I am learning is that there are sometimes where my brain is telling me stuff, or my gut, if you will, the gut feeling people talk about, but because I'm so busy, right? I'm just running, that is almost like somebody's yelling at me, trying to reach me, and I don't hear it.
Right.
And so I ignore that gift that I have in me that's telling me, like, it's almost like a spider sense. Don't do that, or do this, or you need to, right? And because I'm going so quick, so fast, that I don't have time. So what you're saying is just really just stopping and allowing all the stuff to kind of reach me, so that I can integrate that into my decisions and thoughts and life, if you will.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Okay. Cool. All right. So going deeper, pampering. How? I don't have time, Denise. I get up in the morning. I'm going all day. I got meetings all day. I come home. Blake has schedule. I've got stuff I'm doing. When do I have time for that? What do you say to somebody who says that?
Which one are you talking?
All of that. Yeah, I don't have time to do I don't have time to do the pampering. I don't have time to do the deeper, right? Because
Well,
I'm going.
you take a shower every morning, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. So in that shower, you're by yourself, right?
Yes.
Yes. So therefore, you can go deeper there, right? That's your quiet time, and that's your pampering time at the same time. You just
Okay.
carve out that time for yourself.
All right. So just building into my regular routine.
Yeah, if you can, and if you can extend it. But use what you have. Don't
Mm-hmm.
when you do have the time, extend it.
Right.
But use what you have. You take a shower every morning. You go
Right.
to the bathroom every morning. You have your morning routine that's
Mm-hmm.
by yourself. So at that time, that's when you carve out your pampering. And as you're pampering, you go deeper and you just, let whatever's coming to you come to you, or shut out what you need to shut out. And that's
Mm-hmm.
your time.
Okay. All right. So start with what you got.
Start with what you have.
Okay.
And as you
Okay.
decide that you want more, you'll make the time for more. But
Mm-hmm.
start with what you have.
Wow. Okay. So my struggle, as I mentioned, is sleep. Right. This is how we got onto this topic. So my struggle is sleep, and a lot of people say I only need 2 hours of sleep. I only need 4 hours of sleep. I only need whatever number of hours of sleep. And when they say need, I think they really mean they function or they get by on 4 hours or 5 hours of sleep.
Right.
But they probably need more sleep. Now, the body is an incredible thing, right? Because it will keep going because that's its job. It'll keep going. But think how much more creative, like Danita mentioned, how much more creative you are if you actually get the number of hours that you need. Now, as amazing as you are with 5 hours, think what you're like when you got 7 or 8 hours of sleep.
Right.
Amazing. So I have been here in my studio and I've been, I've got these things I've got to do and I'm going through the list and I'm doing them. And I've actually been sitting here at this right space, sleep.
Really? You pass out?
And then I wake up and do some stuff. And
Oh.
I mean, right here as we're talking, I mean, in that space, right? Like just like that.
Wow.
And I did it was the last night or the night before. I was doing that because I had all these things I had to do. And I said no. I stopped. Right. It was hard for me to stop. And I laid down on this floor right here. I got a pillow right there, got a blanket right there. Laid down on this floor and I went to sleep. And I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And when I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, the thing that I had been spending so much time, because I had to think it over and I had to process it and I had to rewrite it. Do you know that thing took me about 10 minutes?
Of course.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, because you were fatigued, and once you're fatigued, you can't think because everything is almost going to try to just keep you functioning. So if you're trying to create, you can't because your body is trying to just stay awake. Once you give it the rest, now it's like, okay, we can all relax and whatever you're working on is just going to flow at that point.
Right.
Because you have the energy for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And I think we underestimate that. We underestimate the power of just the integrative, restorative process that happens during sleep. Yeah, yeah. One of those gems that we have. All right, so go to sleep. When you're in the shower or whenever you're doing your routine, that's your initial point of going deeper. And then if I want to pamper myself, Danita, I'm coming back to you. I want to pamper myself, and I'm thinking, man, I don't have the money for a spa. I don't have the money for a trip like we took. I don't have the money for da-da-da. And the only time I got is my 5 minutes that Denise just gave me in the morning anyway.
Right.
How do I get the pampering in?
Well, like she said, you pamper yourself in the shower. You have your loofahs, you have your scents, and all of that. You can pamper yourself there while you're getting dressed. The lotion and things that you're putting on your skin, all of that is pampering. We just look at it, oh, I'm just getting ready. But if you
just
slow, yeah, you just kind of slow down and be intentional about it. Like, I'm taking this time for me, then you have that pampering moment for the 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Now, what I like and Danita, as you were describing, the loofah and your scents and so forth, having a space that's yours, however small, however big that space is, I think is a big part of that, right?
It is a big part of it. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a huge part
Hmm.
because I don't really don't know how to describe it. I can feel it, but I don't have the words for it right
Mm,
now.
okay. Right.
Yeah. So
And I know we pulled stuff from the Bible. There's a place in the Bible it talks about going into your closet to pray,
hmm
and I don't want to build this entirely out of context, right?
hmm hmm
But I think part of the beauty of that picture of going into your closet to pray is that it is your space.
yeah.
Denise, it's your time where you are silent, where you're not moving,
hmm
where you can listen and you can connect when lock everybody else. And it also gives the idea that it don't have to be this grand room. It's just wherever place you find yourself in, you can
Yeah.
use that, whether it's in the shower, whether it's a little closet, take all the coats out and put them on the bed or something and just use that. Do you remember what was that movie? It was had something, I think, was it called a prayer closet or prayer room? But anyway, so this lady, she literally took everything out of her closet, and that was her prayer. And so her husband saw her going in there one day, and he was like, "What you doing?" And so she
hmm
had her Bible, she had her candles, she had her whatever, and she
Wow.
would literally go in there, lock the door, and she would pray.
So would you then say wherever you feel comfortable?
Sure, wherever you feel comfortable. It could be in your office, it could be in your car,
hmm
right? It
Yeah.
could be on your lunch break. Go to your car. You know
Right.
how sometimes on our lunch break we're sitting there, we got those devices and we were just going through. Well,
hmm
that's a perfect time to do that. And we've talked on this show about electronics and social media, and sometimes we don't think that, because when you said it, Denise, earlier about, oh well, you take a shower, don't you? I hadn't even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you're in this space by yourself
Mm-hmm.
for at least 5 minutes, unless you're doing what they call the hotspot wash. I'm just saying,
Hey.
right? So you're in there. So yeah, use that time to reconnect and find those spaces. So I love that. Yeah, yeah. So cool. So pivoting a little bit. So we've got the self-care. Got the self-care. And let me run through those again. So get good sleep. Find a place that is yours,
hmm
that you're comfortable with.
Right.
Be still and listen to yourself. Go deeper. Connect with yourself. Connect with God. Connect with people talk about meditation and mindfulness and all those things. Pamper yourself
Mm-hmm.
with whatever you have, wherever you are.
Right.
And I think I want to throw another one in here. This one I talked about today when I was with that other doc. You have got to know that you are worth every iota, every moment, every ounce of energy that you're putting into pampering yourself.
hmm
Absolutely.
Everything, the entire world is going to conspire against you doing this,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because your life is not going to make it easy for you to do this.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, we know.
Because the moment you find a time, let's assume that you've done it. You've done it in the morning, and now you say, okay, I need more time, and now you have like a 5 minutes in the evening when you come home. The moment
Right.
you're getting ready to do that, the phone's gonna ring.
Absolutely.
Somebody in the house is gonna ask you to do something. You're gonna remember something from work or something from life or something in the house or something in the apartment you got to do. But
You
you've
have
got to know that you're worth the energy to fight all of that off so that you can actually take time for yourself.
to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And then we're going to pivot a little bit. And so, Danita, you mentioned this thing. So you had these things that happened to you this week. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is just it's just something that I do. This week, my thought of the day on my show was, what gift do you have that you're not using? What gift do you have that you're not using? And the premise is kind of like you just described. Or is allied to that there are things that we are good at that we do every day that to us is just what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, oh man, you drew that well. Yeah, it's just I just draw.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or Denise, so yeah, man, I love how you interact with those kids, how you get them to learn. It's like, well, yeah, it's just just what I do. I'm just right. So how do we recognize the value? And we've talked about finding value, right? I want to do a slightly different spin on this, but how do we recognize the value?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I don't know. I don't know. I really
You
don't.
guys remember the story of Moses in the Bible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Moses shows up at the bush, right? And God says to him, "What do you have in your hand?" And he's like, "A rod."
Right.
Now this is a piece of stick that he picked up somewhere, right?
Yeah.
This was a piece of thing that he used to herd the sheep.
Right.
Probably a branch that he cut down and whistled on it, and but he thought nothing of it. But if we read from the time God encountered him throughout the Bible, the history of that rod,
Change.
that was the rod that he used for the 10 plagues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the rod that he used at the Red Sea.
Yes.
That was the rod that he used, like the story, whenever they held his hand up, right, with the serpent on the rod, that they won. And whenever his hand got tired and it came down, they lost. And they would put his hand up, and the Israel army would be winning during that same battle, and then he would get tired, and so these guys actually came and held his hands up. So, right?
Yeah.
That's the same rod that when you read about the ark, right, and the temple, it was the rod of Moses that was a dead piece of tree, dead stick, that in the temple started blooming.
Okay.
And yet it was the thing that he's like, oh yeah, it's a rod, just a stick.
I guess it's how you view it.
Okay.
You change your view and how you look at it. Then you start seeing the value of it.
Okay.
I guess. Because
Go
from your
ahead.
description, it was just a piece of branch or piece of wood, but it did different things. So as it did the different things, you have to look at it differently, right? So now it was on the ground, okay, and that's just a piece of stick. But now if I use it to hit the rock, now it's
Oh, I forgot about the rock. When
Water.
it hit the rock, water
Right.
came out of the rock.
right. So
Yeah.
if you view it differently, then you see the value of it.
Right.
But do others have to see it so you see the value, or do you find the value on your own? Because
Ah.
you didn't view it as anything until God said, "Hold it up." Okay. And then something happened. Right? He hit the
Right.
rock and okay, somebody saw it. All right. Well, this must be really good. But other than that, you just like, okay, well, I'm thirsty. you know, and you drink the water. It's like it's normal happenstance for you. Like I often
Right.
talk to people about Whitney Houston.
Mhm.
Her voice was her voice. She always had that voice. Did
Right.
she see the significance of that voice? No, we did. She didn't.
Wow.
So is it that people have to see the value, or do you have to find that that special thing about yourself and say, you know what, I do this special thing, even if nobody sees that I do this special thing. I do this special thing. If people see it, fine. If they don't, I'm still okay with it. I know I'm worth all of
Mm,
this. I do is special.
right.
I think that's what makes it that much more valuable when you see it. And it really doesn't matter if anybody else sees it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, if they see it, if you value it, they have
Mhm.
nothing, they can't help but see it, because now you're just going to just go with it. And because you love it,
Right. Right.
so I think once you see it,
Mm-hmm.
it just becomes like a sun.
Right.
But
Okay.
sometimes people need other people to see it to say that they're valued.
Mhm. Mhm.
Does that make sense? So if they don't see it, then if other people don't see it, how do
Right.
you then help yourself to see
To
what
see
other
it.
people? Because they can say, like, Dwayne, you're a fabulous doctor. I know you are. You're a fabulous
Mm.
doctor, and you might say, okay, okay, thank you. You don't see it. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? Then how do you, like, how do you bring that out within yourself
Right.
to see what other
To see
people
that.
see?
Right. So three things came to my mind when you're talking. Let's go run through those. So one is, and I don't know why this came. I don't know if it was relevant, but so if I've read this thing. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to see it or hear it, did it fall?
It did.
Yes, it fell.
It
It
fell.
fell.
It
Because if you
fell.
walk there, it'll be down. So it
It'll be
fell.
down. So
Mhm.
if you have a gift, right,
Hmm.
that or a thing in you that nobody sees, is the gift still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
The gift is still there.
But
Yeah.
do you consider it a gift?
Ah, that's the question. That's the
That is.
question. Do you consider it a gift?
And then do you use
So
it once you
so I've
find
been
out?
doing these videos,
Hmm.
and when I first started doing the videos, and even when I said, I shouldn't even say first started, even recently, I have struggled with what to do the video on,
Hmm.
right? Because for me, I think, well, nobody wants to hear about that. I mean, that's a simple thing. That doesn't, that you shouldn't do a video on that. That's too simple. That's too insignificant,
Hmm.
right? So when my son, when Blake says, "Hey, Daddy, you're gonna do a 60-second clip."
Hmm.
Well, what do I do a 60-second clip on? All the stuff that I thought was insignificant.
Hmm.
And I did one. I think it was on water, or yeah, I think it was on water, or no, it was on um, the brain dump, and I did one on water. Well, let's take the water one because that's the simple one. So I did one on water. I put it out 60 seconds. I can tell you the number of people that were excited about the water one. I mean, water, like drinking water. That's what I talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I almost didn't do it because I was like, well, I mean, nobody wants to hear about water,
You'd be surprised.
It's the
right?
simple things.
So it's the simple thing. So yeah, so there. I think as we've been talking, you have to have a process, and everything is a process, and part of the process is sitting down and formally looking at yourself.
Hmm.
That's why I love journaling. Sit down, and I tell people, write down what you do, create a resume, pretend that you are interviewing for a job, and write down the things that, I mean, and these are not necessarily your um, professional skills, even though they can be. But you personally, what are you good at? What do you like to do? What are some things you can do? Can you sing? Can you write? Can you act? Are you a good listener? Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And create a resume
Hmm.
for yourself
Hmm.
and look at that and say, okay, which one of these things am I going to develop?
Right.
Go ahead. You're going to say something, Denise. I thought,
Oh, no,
oh,
no,
no,
I wasn't.
no, no.
I was just agreeing with you. Which
Which
one
is
of
it?
them?
Yeah.
It's.
So that is always an iterative process,
Hmm.
right? When you, okay, I got that one. I'm working on that. Okay. what's the next one? So that you're always looking at yourself and saying, and part of it may be having to go to other people and say, hey, when you think, I asked a doc recently, I said, hey, when you think about Dwayne, what do you think? Or what comes to your mind? Or what do you think about me? What do you blah, blah, blah? Because I was doing that for a class, right? So you may have to ask some people, what comes to mind when you think about Denise? What comes to mind when you think about Danita, right? And you know, they would say, oh, Danita's creative. You know, Denise is intelligent. She's organized. She's right. So now you have, and ask several people, and sometimes you have to be careful who you ask also, right? Because you want people who are looking to lift you up.
You're right.
Right. Because you could ask people, say, well, you know, you never finish everything you do, or you know those people who are not necessarily always positive.
Right.
Yeah, those are not the people you want to talk to. Right. You want to talk to the other people that say, and explain to them what you're doing, and say, hey, I'm wanting to improve myself. I want to know, well, what gifts do I have? What area of my life do I need to improve, or what do I have to offer other people? When you think about me, can you tell me 3 or 4 things that come to mind? And then begin doing that process. But we all have gifts. We all have things that we do on the job. Like, the guy who's flipping burgers, right? What gift does he have? Right? Well, he's consistent. As far as
we know, flipping the burger so we can eat it.
Right. That's right. Thank you, by the way, for the burger. Thank you for the burger.
Outside of that, we don't know.
Thank you for the burger, right? So consistency, right? You can cook. You can tolerate heat.
Yeah.
Right? That's a gift. And and I'm being silly about it, but sometimes you're right, Danita. It's the simple things that we sometimes overlook. I love it. Yeah. Be a big deal. And that brings us right back to, and everywhere I've been seeing this, don't play small.
You can't.
Don't play small.
You can't.
You're huge. You're big. You're ginormous. And if we're not careful, sorry, go ahead.
No, you have to realize it. And it takes all of what we said prior, the sitting still, the going deep, the pampering. It takes all of that for you to see that within yourself.
For sure.
Don't play small.
Don't play small. Love it. All right. So I think those are 2 good topics.
Yeah.
Right. 1, self-care. And number 2, using your gifts, or finding your gift and using it, developing it, and knowing that you do have a gift. Everybody has a gift. I guess let's say that, right?
Yeah, we all have gifts.
We all have gifts. And
well, how do you find it though? I mean, that's a whole other.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, because there are gift inventories. Our pastor, let's see, what was it called? Of course, as soon as I said that, went over my head. But he did a program, I think it was 8 weeks maybe, on developing gifts, finding out what gifts you had. And so there was an entire assessment that they did, and then they broke into groups with people who had the same gifts. And the people who were in the program, they were amazed, right? Because some of them had never been only with people like them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So imagine going through a gift inventory, right? And you find out that, and I forgot all the categories. You find out, okay, this is your gift, or this is your gift, or this is your gift. And so all the people who have that gift show up in a room. And you're like, man, what? There are people like me, right? So everybody's talking. And the part of it that was amazing to them when they came out of the rooms, the breakout rooms, was that they would talk and the people in the room automatically understood them. They didn't have to explain. They didn't have to. Right?
That is awesome. Okay.
Yes. You know, so yeah, so you say something and boom, okay, and you just move in the conversation.
Yeah.
As opposed to say something and then you got to explain what that means, and then the person didn't get it, so you got to come back and do it a different way. No, they were like, man, can I get these people to be in my life all the time?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there are gift inventories that you can do.
Okay.
There are personality inventories that we can do. One of the things that we do as part of our coaching is what's called the Wheel of Life, or the Wheel of Perspective, and the same idea can be used other places. But the Wheel of Perspective is, there are these areas, you know, spiritually, socially, physically, professionally, sexually, right? And where am I in those places?
Right.
But you can do the same thing with yourself, like what that whole thing that we did about the journaling, right? Writing out your resume, and then looking at each of those and saying, where am I? Am I good at this? Am I good at that? Am I good at this? Am I auditory? Am I visual? Do I like to work with my hands? Do I like to think through things?
Right.
And then if you find out you like to think through things, now we go and find a bunch of things, a bunch of gifts that require that. Okay, now you go through that list and say, oh, I like that one. I don't like this one. I like that one. So now you have a list of 10 things that are in your quote unquote gifting area. And then you start to explore those until you find, okay, yeah, I can do that. Oh man, look at that. I did that last year.
Oh wow. Guys, that will be down in the description box. We're gonna link it.
That's right. So yeah, so there's so many different ways. But once again, I cannot stress the importance. I'm coming back to self-care. I cannot stress the importance of sleep, because if you don't have energy, it doesn't matter what's out there. You're not going to do it because you're tired, and you can't even conceive that there's something different from what you're doing.
Right.
Right.
Your body's like, listen, I gotta put it all over here. This other stuff you're trying to do, it's not gonna happen.
Only
sure,
allotting
for
you
sure.
about 6 hours to work, and then that's it.
Then that's
Shutting
it.
down.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, I know we can talk forever and ever, but we got to end. We might have to cut this up into 2. But we're so glad that you guys are here. If you're getting some benefit, if you like the conversations that we're having, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit the bell so that you'll be notified when we put new content up. Drop us a line into the woods. That's into the letter D, WOODES at gmail.com. You can drop a comment or drop a message in the comments, and let us know if there are other things that you want us to cover. Right? We love coming on and having these conversations. Come back for more. We lots of stuff for us to talk about. But this is Dwayne.
This is Denise.
this is Danita. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye bye.